Hey, this is Hammer with my first ever game against the Dark Elf army in the first round of Adepticon. So, taking a look at his army, I was licking my chops because I didn't see Blackguard or Executioners or anything that I thought were a real threat to my knights. So I know his two Hydras are very dangerous, but if I can deal with them, all that's left is really just a bunch of Toughness 3 chaff. So, I was fairly confident coming into this one. But that's also part of my inexperience with Dark Elves and not really knowing what they could do to me. But I found out quick. So here's how the board was set up. In this scenario, if by the end of the game you had any units in that big square, you got half their points cost as victory points. So you had to have the majority of your models in the square. So went over my list in my last video, but basically I've got my BSB to the left of my men-at-arms, my level 4 Crown of Command to the right of the men-at-arms, and my Heroic Killing Blow Generals unit, and then my Grail Knights are at the far right side of the board. So on his side, he's got a Hydra unit of 5 Harpies, a Cold One Chariot, which I didn't even know Dark Elves had chariots, a unit of 10 repeater crossbows, and a huge unit of repeater crossbows on that hill. In that unit, he had 3 casters, as you can see. So, yeah, once he put his characters down, I realized what kind of list this is. He's going to try to magic me to death and shoot me to death with all of his chaff holding up all my units. So, yeah, I started to get a little more worried. I've heard Dark Elf magic is pretty powerful, and yeah, it sure is. So they all have that power of darkness ability. I think they just roll 1 dice, and it costs 4. On a 4, they can get D3 plus 1 extra power dice. So all 3 of them have that, and yeah, it's just too much to deal with. So he also has another unit of Harpies, a unit of 20 Warriors. This is BSB, I believe. Yeah. So more towards the right. Yeah, there's his Master BSB with the Warriors. And he's got another Hydra, Cold One Chariot, unit of Harpies, another unit of 10 repeater crossbows, and he's got a Master on a Dark Pegasus with sort of my Ring of Hotech and Dragon Helm. So I think that guy was actually deployed further up near that building, but took the picture too soon. And his general ended up being deployed here. He just wouldn't stand up, so he's falling over there. So he had the Crown of Command, so he's one of those survivable generals that just kind of runs into a unit to hold it up, which makes sense with all his magic. So here's the Vanguard move I made on the right. And those are his scouts and shades. And here it is on the left with my yeoman. So going to Dark Elf turn 1, makes a nice long charge with his Cold One Chariot into my yeoman. So he's only movement 7, so he needed a pretty good roll, but he got it. And those guys are toast. So in hindsight, it was a huge mistake how I positioned these yeomen. I easily could have lined him up parallel with that building and completely denied him the option to even charge me. So hopefully lesson learned on that one. So here towards the center, moves up conservatively, as you can see. Drops his chariot back to kind of zone out my peg knights. Towards the right, jumps his shades into the building and moves his Ring of Hotech guy over the building as well. Billy view towards the left, hides his Hydra behind the building and moves his Harpies up as well. Start making their way towards my Treb in the bottom left. So my pictures aren't in perfect order because we only had, 2.5, 3 hours to play a 3K game, so I was really hard pressed for time. Wanted to take more, but basically the chariot plowed through my mounted yeoman and overran far, as you can see. Moved my men-at-arms, their full move, and moved my BSB's unit forward such that the Hydra couldn't see him behind that building. So here on the right side, decided not to charge my yeoman into the flank of that master. Even if he was a stock character, there's no way they're going to beat him. So instead, I move him in front of my Heroic Killing Blow General's unit. So my hope is the Hydra will try to charge him, and I'll just bounce through my General's unit. He'll redirect into my Heroic Killing Blow General, who will proceed to lop off all 5 of his heads and take a glorious victory. So that's my plan there. So I also move my Peg Knights forward on the right side, kind of harass his flank. That Chariot is trying to zone me out, but he needs a decently long charge to get into my pegs, so I feel pretty safe at this point. Grail Knights, I don't know what I was thinking with these guys. Original plan was to march forward deep around that building, but for some reason I faced this way. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking there. Magic Phase, get +2 toughness off on my men-at-arms. Yeah, I don't even know why I did that. To try to hold him up or keep him alive from all of his crossbows, I guess. So shooting phase, land a treb shot on this warrior unit and just crush him. Dead center, 21 models. And yeah, I wasn't ever worried about this unit to begin with, but you know, this was the only unit in his whole army that had ranks, so still good to get him down a notch. So going to Dark Elf turn 2, his Chariot slams into my Treb, get some revenge for his warriors I killed. Towards the center, yeah, so his Hydra charges my double Paladin unit. I didn't think he could see him, but you could draw a line just barely from the tip of the top of his base to my Paladin unit, so yeah. He made it, and now I'm in big trouble there. Attention to detail, I guess that matters a lot in tournaments. I should have been more careful there. So towards the center, he didn't charge my yeoman with his Hydra, and instead he took his Crown of Command General into my General's unit. So looks like his goal there is to just take away a big threat and just hold me up there all game. So also, he made this charge with his Chariot against my Peg Knights. So, you know, that thing was pretty deep, kind of zoning me out. And once again, he needed a long charge, but he got it. And now I'm screwed there. So, yeah. I shouldn't even give these things the option to charge because they just seem to make it every time. So also on his Magic Phase, he got a bunch of debuffs on my Pegs. So, weapon skill, toughness, whatever. I don't have a chance in hell at beating that Chariot now. So also in his Magic Phase, I think it was a death spell, killed my level 2. I couldn't stop it. He just had so much magic coming at me, and I just didn't have enough dice or dispel scrolls to stop everything he had. So also on his Magic Phase, he gets Occam's Mind Razor off on this Hydra. So, oof, that's just looking worse and worse. Shooting phase, he bags a Grail Knight with his Shades, and kills 4 mounted yeomen with his crossbows. So after close combat, yeah, the Treb dies, clearly. And this big one. So, yeah, I didn't realize how nasty those handlers were with Mind Razor. Even without Mind Razor, they're pretty tough. So, he kills my Combat Paladin there with the Ogre Blade, puts a wound on my BSB, just kills a ton of Knights, and yeah, that was pretty ugly. I held with my rerollable Steadfast, but oof, that was pretty tough. I gotta go another round of combat with Mind Razor on the Hydra. So I don't really have a picture of it, but you know, this is the other picture showing his general charging my general's unit. So he issued a challenge, I accepted, and I double heroic killing blowed his ass. That was satisfying. Man, my opponent he hadn't played against a Bretonnian in like 2 years. And so he was like, no way, heroic killing blow is only against monsters, right? And he looked it up, and he's like, oh shit. That was a glorious moment for my general, and yeah, at least something good came out of that turn. So going to Brett turn 2. So yeah, previously his chariot killed my pegs and they ran off the board, and also previously he was trying to run away with his warriors after I trebbed him, so that's why they're facing the other way. But what I did here was take my remaining mounted yeomen and charge the flank of those warriors. And I also charged the redirecting harpies with my prophetess unit. And so I charged that yeoman into the warriors because if my prophetess unit crushes those harpies on the overrun or pursuit, I could run right into the back of those warriors and get to fight a second time. So that was my thinking there. Charged my rogue killing bow general into the Hydra, of course. View towards the center. Yeah, I think I got, I don't know, Shield of Thorns off of my BSB's unit in my magic phase, just to desperately try to put wounds on that Hydra. Also my magic phase, yeah, I tried to cast something else, and I rolled double of something, and that's when I learned what the Ring of Hotech was. So that master was hanging around, 12 inches away from my level 4 there, and so I found out any roll of doubles makes me miscast, and of course Dimensional Cascade on my Knights Errant, and just crushes them, kills, what, 5 of them, and she gets sucked into the void. So my magic phase is now completely over. Oh man, yeah, well, that's how I learn. So yeah, here's just another view of the center after that miscast. So after combat here with the Hydra, my BSB is dead, and I'm just hanging around with these knights, and he only has 2 wounds on him, and that's not going well at all. So I do crush through those harpies, kill them to a man, roll a nice overrun into the rear of these warriors, which was great. Yeah, he takes down my mounted yeoman. I kill a significant number of warriors, but I don't remember what he needed to stay. He needed, something pretty low, but he managed to stick, which was unfortunate. So going to close combat on the right with my general.
Monster kill!
Oh yeah, rogue killing blow on the Hydra, and even got the overrun into the chariot. So my general is performing as a true champion. So this is just another view of the center after Brett turn 2. So definitely going to go out of order here with my limited pictures, but Dark Elf turn 3, he makes these charges, crushes my Treb and overruns into my Bowman for the double combat, and then kills them as well. So in this little grind fest, yeah, my Knight should have crushed these warriors long ago, but my Knights just whiff all their attacks, and these guys hold again, denying me those points. Also moves his caster there, his level 2 with the black dragon egg. So in the combat here, my general's unit fails their fear test. Yeah, so they're leadership 10, and I make the nice roll that you can see. So I don't get heroic killing blow, but I still beat the chariot through combat res, and I decide not to pursue. Seems like in this case, the most important thing for me to do is get back towards the center of the board, try to get those half points being in the square, or see if I can make it over to kill one of his higher point units. Chariot didn't run off the board, but hopefully it won't rally next turn. So this is kind of like Dark 3 / Brett 3, I guess. So I moved my men-at-arms forward, as you can see. I want to charge that big unit if I can, and I think I can win that being in Horde if I can survive a stand and shoot. So yeah, that's my thinking there. So my knights had held here, just still holding on for dear life against this Hydra. Only 2 wounds on it. Can't get another one through. So Dark Elf turn 4. This is on the bottom right of the board. He charged his Master on Dark Pegasus into my Bowman, and I fled. Then he redirected into my Grail Knights. Then he charged his Harpies into my Bowman as well, so they had to keep fleeing. So if I don't mention it, they ran off the board. So here's the redirect into my Grail Knights. He issued a challenge, which I accepted. Probably shouldn't have. Probably worth losing the ward save, so I have more attacks against him, but that's what happened anyways. His Chariot rallies, unfortunately. And then we go to his magic phase. Yeah, so my Heroic Killing Blow General's unit is whittled down badly by some kind of magic that I don't remember right now. And he also gets the debuff on my Men-at-Arms, so they're now Toughness 2. And this level 2 caster had this Black Dragon Egg for a breath weapon, and so he is in perfect position to just get a whole ton of Men-at-Arms, and sure enough he does. Yeah, pretty painful. But then we go to his shooting phase, and yeah, that's all I have left. Man, he opened a shower of arrows on my unit. So his Strength 4 crossbows are now hitting my Men-at-Arms on 2s, and this is the result. So yeah, they managed to pass their panic test incredibly. And over here in close combat, yeah, now I have 2 knights left trying to grind it out with these damn warriors. And, ugh, so annoying. Close combat on the left. The Hydra finally cleans up my knights, which was inevitable. And over here, the Master cleans up a Grail Knight in the challenge. So on Brett turn 4, my General's unit had charged his caster but failed charge and ended up where you can see him. Close combat here. Yeah, my knights and his warriors just failed to do anything to each other, unfortunately. And this is actually from Dark Elf turn 5. So my Grail Knights had beaten this Master in close combat, but failed to run him down. This one's from Brett turn 5. So turn 5 was the final turn we got to. I had wanted to charge a Hydra that was towards the center of the board, but where I was positioned, I couldn't make the wheel past his Master, just barely, which was unfortunate. Would have been great to knock that Hydra off the board, and as well as get half points for my unit, but I couldn't do it, so decided next best thing would be to try to swift reform so I could move past the Master and get half points in the center. So I thought half my unit would probably be more points than the Master, but I failed my swift reform test and ended up where you can see, so no points at all. Probably should have just charged the Master. That was a higher probability, much higher probability than making my swift reform. And here's an overview of the board at the end of the game. So my General's unit survived and made it into the box. My Men-at-Arms are fleeing and should be in the box, but you need more than half your models, or the majority of your unit, in the center. So I was off by 1 model, so I didn't get half points for them. So definitely ended up being a significant loss for the Bretonnians. I got some points, so I didn't come out of this empty-handed, but for the most part I got rocked. So I came into this tournament having not played in 2 months. Pretty much packed up my army, set it up, and just went for it. So I was definitely pretty rusty. Made a lot of mistakes, as I've already mentioned, but the biggest one, looking back, came here. So, this is when it was Hydra, made it around that building to charge my BSB's unit. And my men-at-arms there are in automatic flank charge range of that Hydra. He's got a wide flank. I'm in horde formation. I'm going to get a ton of attacks on top of the charge and flank combat res. And for some reason, I moved him straight forward. I don't know what I was thinking here. If I had taken down this Hydra, one, I get the points for the Hydra. Two, I save the points for my BSB and double paladin unit, most likely, and I allow them to go forward and possibly clean up that small crossbow unit in front, or eventually, get in with his big crossbow unit that's deep. Even if they don't, they might have absorbed a ton of magic damage that otherwise went on my men-at-arms in general. So this was the mistake of the game, and yeah, hopefully I won't make one like this again. But overall, I really enjoyed the game. Man, not having played in 2 months, I was dying to get a game in. And my opponent was just a great guy. Really fun to play against. Lighthearted about all this stuff. No raging. Just had a great time. So that's game one, and next one will be against Warriors of Chaos.